My roommate demanded half my freelance income because she created a productive environment for me to work in. I was working from our shared apartment as a graphic designer, pulling 10-hour days at the kitchen table while she worked her 9-to-5 office job. I'd been freelancing for 8 months, slowly building my client list from nothing, taking whatever projects I could get just to pay my half of the bills. One Tuesday evening, she came home from work and sat down across from me at the kitchen table. She had this weird energy, like she'd been rehearsing something all day. She said we needed to talk about my earnings and how things were going to change moving forward. I closed my laptop, confused, thinking maybe she wanted to talk about me taking up too much space at the table or something reasonable like that. She pulled out her phone and showed me a spreadsheet. She'd apparently been tracking my income based on the checks she'd seen me deposit over the past few months. She'd calculated that I was making around $4,000 a month, sometimes more depending on the projects. Then she hit me with it. She said it was only fair she got 50% since I used the apartment we both paid rent on to make that money. I just stared at her for a second, waiting for the punchline. When it didn't come, I reminded her that we split the $2,800 rent equally every month, $900 each. I paid for the internet upgrade myself when I started freelancing because the basic plan wasn't cutting it. I bought my own desk, my own chair, my own equipment. Everything I used for work, I paid for. She said that wasn't the point. She maintained a clean, organized space that allowed me to focus on my work. She kept the kitchen stocked with snacks I could grab when I was on deadline. She kept quiet when she got home so I could work late into the evening. She'd even made me coffee a few times when she noticed I looked tired. All of that was labor, she said, and labor deserves compensation. I asked if she was genuinely serious about this. She reached into her bag and pulled out a handwritten contract she'd drafted. It said I'd pay her 50% of all freelance earnings made while living in the apartment, effective immediately. There was a line at the bottom for both of our signatures. She slid it across the table with a pen and told me to think of it as a business partnership. I pushed the paper back and told her I wasn't signing anything. She got this look on her face like I'd personally insulted her. She said I was being selfish and taking advantage of everything she provided. I reminded her she provided literally nothing except the basic roommate courtesy of not being loud, which I also did for her. She grabbed her contract and stormed off to her room. That's when things got nasty. She stopped cleaning completely. Dishes started piling up in the sink until they grew mold. The trash overflowed because she refused to take it out, even when it was clearly her turn. She started blasting music at night when I had morning client calls. She'd slam doors, leave her stuff all over the common areas, basically making the apartment as unlivable as possible. 2 weeks of this, and I'd had enough. I couldn't work in that chaos, couldn't think straight, couldn't meet deadlines with her constant noise. I called my cousin who manages rental properties across town and asked if he had anything available. He had a vacant 1-bedroom that he offered me at cost while he looked for a permanent tenant. $600 a month, utilities included. I didn't even hesitate. I packed all my stuff on a Saturday while she was at work. Took my desk, my chair, my dishes, everything that was mine. I left her half of next month's rent on the kitchen counter, $900 in cash, with a note that said she could keep 100% of the productive environment she'd created. I dropped my keys through the mail slot and drove to my new place feeling lighter than I had in weeks. 3 days later, my phone started blowing up. She was calling back to back, then texting, then calling again. I finally answered and she was crying, her voice all panicked and desperate. She said the landlord had left a notice on the door. Without my half of the rent, she couldn't afford the full $2,800. She tried to find a new roommate, but nobody wanted to move in on such short notice. The landlord was already processing her eviction notice and she had 30 days to either pay or leave. She begged me to come back, said we could forget the whole money thing, that she'd been stupid and unreasonable. She said she'd keep the apartment clean and quiet, that we could go back to how things were before. I told her I was too busy enjoying my new productive environment where nobody tried to charge me for making their own coffee.